Hi, Pam. How are you, Pam?
Okay, I've unmuted. I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Good to see you. All right, so we have a bunch of people coming to join us. Thank you all for showing up tonight. We appreciate it. Awesome. All right, I'm gonna let a few more people in. Bear with me, guys. Thank you both, Pam and Matt, for joining us tonight. I actually wrote your email in my presentation, so it's nice that you guys are here. So if people have questions related to Grafton or Carroll, you guys can hopefully not mind answering them.
Not at all.
Thank you. I don't
Of
think.
course, yeah.
Thank you.
On that note, I won't make next week because I actually have to present at NHACD
Oh, no
for the
worries.
next 2 weeks.
No worries. That's fine. Thank you for making it tonight. Let's see. All right, let's add a couple more people. Awesome. All right. Awesome. Oh, I see Jess is here too. Hey, Jess. All right. We'll give it another minute. Some people are still coming in. Again, thank you guys so much for being here. We're happy to have you. We have a good night planned. All right. All right, still some more people coming in. Awesome. Give it probably another 30 seconds or so. It is 6 o'clock, but we still have people that are coming in. So we'll let them get in and settled. You guys are all doing good. Everyone comes in, you mute yourselves right away. You're doing great. Thank you. I don't even think I need to go over the basics of Zoom hosting or anything. Everybody's used to it by now. All right. All right, it is 6:01, so I guess we can get started. Thank you all for joining us for the North Country High Tunnel series. We're super excited to have you guys tonight, and we have an exciting night lined up for you. Just a few introduction things, which you all do anyways. Whenever you come in, do you mind just muting your microphone? That way when people are speaking, you know, there's no background noise. So you all got that already, so thank you for doing that. And in the chat feature, I think we've used that plenty of times. So if you have any questions throughout the presentations tonight, please just drop them in the chat, and either myself or Kelly or Nick or somebody will ask the presenters your questions. And also at the end, there's going to be plenty of time for questions as well and answers as well. Each session is recorded. Hopefully you guys are all getting my emails that I send out. They are posted on our website, so cooscountyconservation.org, and go under announcements. You should see the previous sessions there in case you guys missed them. So other than that, I guess we'll get started. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm your host, Whitney Lewis. I work for the Coös County Conservation District. I am their district manager. And tonight we have Kelly Eggleston from NRCS. She is the district conservationist in Coös County, and she will be talking to you tonight about NRCS programs. Thank you, Kelly, for being here. And other than that, after that, I actually have a presentation about the district's tool loan program or tool rental program, and we'll cover that after. Otherwise, Kelly, if you'd like to take it away, you're more than welcome to. Thank you for joining us.
Hey everyone, can you hear me okay?
Yes, you're good.
All right, give me just a second and I will share my screen here and get my presentation rolling.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelly.
All right, can you see my presentation?
Yes, you are all set. Is everybody else can see it okay?
Yes.
Yes, awesome. Thank you for the feedback. Yes, you are good to go, Kelly.
All right, thank you. Whitney or Nick, feel free to just chime in if I have any questions or comments and I don't see them while I'm presenting. Feel free to stop me.
Yep, no problem. We'll do that for you.
So good evening, everybody. I'm Kelly Eggleston, and I work for the Natural Resources Conservation Service, which is a branch of the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And it was actually formed after the Dust Bowl in 1937 as a voluntary conservation organization, formerly known as the Soil Conservation Service. My office is in Lancaster in Coös County, and I do have counterparts around the state as well as around the country. So there's a field office for every county in the country. We generally work with private landowners or land that is privately controlled, like if a local farmer has a lease on land, sometimes that makes the land eligible for our programs. But we are voluntary, so we're here, if you choose to reach out to us. So tonight I'm going to be talking specifically about high tunnel assistance, and then throwing in a little bit of our broader programs, because I know that some of you have never worked with us before, or you may even be totally new to farming. So this slide is probably not going to be rocket science to you. You probably heard some of it from Pierre in his presentation, from Nick and his or others. But I'm just going to run through the basic requirements specifically for our programs, because you can build a tunnel, any way you want. But if you're using our cost share, there are some added strings attached. So first of all, you want a suitable site. Is it flat? Is it open? Are the soils suitable? Do you have a water source nearby? All those things that were touched on previously. The reason I'm including this particular photo from Pierre's farm again is that it illustrates the difference between the rounded Roman roof and the peaked or pointed Gothic roofs. And for our programs, you need to go with a Gothic roof. There's a couple of reasons for that, but mainly the snow load and the wind bracing meet our standards, and they must be from an approved supplier, which I'm going to get to in just a moment on the next slide. The crops also need to be grown in the soil profile. So some of your local growers at nurseries and greenhouses, they have potted stock or container stock. And our goal is to manage the overall soil health. So we're looking for you to be growing in the soil. It is not for equipment storage or for animal housing either. It's strictly for growing crops. I'll touch on this a little bit more later too. But generally speaking, if you sign up for a tunnel, you're signing up for a minimum of 4 years of use. During that time, we are able to connect with you and schedule a visit for monitoring or part of a quality assurance internal audit that we go through occasionally. So generally, your plastic is designed to last 4 or 5 years. Our practice lifespan is 4 years. So we totally understand, if unforeseen circumstances come up and, God forbid, you need to sell the property or something like that. That's totally understandable. But generally, we're looking for you to use it for a minimum of 4 years. And I mentioned the approved suppliers and models. Our two most common ones typically up here are Ledgewood and Rimmel. But all of these suppliers and all these models meet our wind and our snow loads. So they're all options. So you basically want to talk to other growers or do your homework online and through talking with us and decide which model is best for you. Nick talked about this earlier, but orienting your tunnel is something to consider. Generally, if you're looking for season extension, you're looking at an east to west orientation for the long axis. However, we also have a consideration that if you're concerned about poor ventilation, you can orient your tunnel perpendicular to the prevailing winds to increase ventilation. We actually have some folks, though, that have too much wind. So we'll basically work with you on what is the best site for your property. Over here on the right is a photo of some wire installed on the sides. Many of our growers use chicken wire or some other barrier so that when your roll-up sides are rolled up, you still have plenty of ventilation, but you can keep small animals, birds, that sort of thing out. So that's just something to keep in mind, not a requirement, but a very helpful consideration. Sorry about that, my mouse is sticking there. Other considerations, you want to avoid using plywood on the southern side of the tunnel if you can. If you do need to use it, we suggest you paint it white or a light color to increase light reflectance. Also, one consideration is to build a minimum of a 6x6 door at each end for better ventilation and access. In this particular tunnel on the right, it's a Rimmel model, and the customer went with a very large door so that they could drive a tractor through when they needed to. It's a 30 by 72 tunnel, so it's a sizable tunnel. But you just want to think about your ventilation when you're constructing yours. You may want to consider building an elevated pad of a couple inches to improve your drainage at the site. And this is something Nick talked about in the previous session, I believe, on shading. But our guidance is try to keep your other tunnels at least 12 feet away on the north side. And on the southeast and west sides, you really want to be twice the height of the nearby shade structure if possible. So if you have a 20-foot high barn, try to locate it 40 feet away. But we realize that's not always possible because of your site limitations. One other thing I wanted to point out in this tunnel is the lush green vegetation. This grower plants winter rye for the bulk of the winter season to keep some soil cover on there and give some food to the soil microbes. So I wouldn't say all of our growers do that, but some do. And it is a nice option with a tunnel. I think these are my last set of considerations here. So thanks for bearing with me. You do want to remove your snow promptly from your structures. If it builds up on the sides, it can cause it to twist and bend and possibly collapse. And if you have a high wind event coming, you listen to the news and they're predicting 60-mile-an-hour winds. The best thing you can do is secure your tunnel by closing up the sides and making sure the doors are tight. That way it doesn't act like a large balloon and take off with the winds. Many of our growers don't do a lot of soil disturbance for their site prep, but if you do, we certainly recommend seeding it down promptly, mulching it to stabilize your soil. Also, if you do have tears in the tunnel, they make a special tape to repair them. You could also put on another section of plastic in that small area, but it certainly plays a major role in the longevity of your tunnel. Another little, tip that we've realized over time is that you don't want to be pounding directly on the tubing of your ground posts. If you put a bolt as a barrier or a piece of wood between your sledgehammer and your tubing, that'll prevent it from being damaged as you're driving it into the ground. And of course, you want to follow your manufacturer instructions for operation and maintenance. Shifting gears a little bit here beyond the considerations to a little bit more of the nuts and bolts of what we do through the Environmental Quality Incentives Program and through the Ag Management Assistance Program. If you wanted assistance for a tunnel, maybe you knew exactly what you wanted, maybe you needed to figure out what you want, the first step, contact your local USDA office, and I have info on that near the end of the presentation. It does vary county to county, but typically we like to schedule sort of a phone interview and find out if your goals mesh well with our programs. We certainly don't want to waste your time or ours if it's not a good fit. Likewise, we can learn a lot before even stepping foot on the property. So if they do mesh well, we typically would schedule a site visit and evaluate, your site and your soils and talk with you about what you're hoping to achieve and what your timeline is for that. If everything aligns, typically you'd fill out an application. They are accepted year round, but we batch them typically over the winter right now. So we've worked with folks, last summer and this fall, and right now we're working on funding their projects. So it does take time. If you apply now, it will probably be next year before we can deliver with financial assistance. That's just part of the cyclical process of our programs. However, in the meantime, NRCS staff do a lot of work behind the scenes to ready your application package. While we're doing that, you just kind of sit tight and be patient. You can, of course, check in anytime you'd like. But if we tell you we're going to ready it, you can have faith that we will have it ready for our funding deadline. And then if the project is selected for funding, usually by early summer, we'll be in touch with you and review your proposed contract with you. And then you'd be free to order your approved model and build it. If you have questions in the meantime, obviously contact us. But if you don't, and you go through and you build it to standards and specs, and you're ready for us to check it, give us a call, send us an email, and then we will come out and check it. We try to make the process as smooth as possible, and much of that is done, by open communication. So hopefully, when we get to that point, we'll all be on the same page, and we can inspect it and approve it relatively quickly. Soon after, we usually issue the reimbursement payment, and I will talk about that a little bit more here in the next couple of minutes. In most cases, the reimbursement payment comes after the tunnel is built. There are a few exceptions, but generally the money is not, available up front. Our current rate is $3.42 a square foot. So if you're trying to weigh the costs and benefits, that's a good rule of thumb to start doing your homework with. In some cases, like if you're a beginner farmer and you've owned the property for 10 years or less, you may qualify for a little bit higher rate, but we'll have to determine that by working with you on a case-by-case basis. The last two things I want to emphasize about funding is it is not 100% free, meaning we encourage you to do your homework, get estimates on the kits, plus all your upfront costs. Out-of-pocket costs do vary greatly, and I'm going to run through one example here in just a minute. But before I do, this is taxable income. So you will get a 1099 at tax time. So if you're not really sure, how to sign up or how that's going to work for tax implications, you want to talk to your CPA or a tax advisor to help you sort that out ahead of time.
We do have a question, Kelly. Do you mind if I interrupt you?
Sure.
We have a question saying, is funding just for businesses as opposed to homeowner/hobbyist?
That's a good question. And it can be for either one. If you have a site that is suitable for installing a high tunnel, meaning that it's growing crops currently or it's cropland, you do not have to be a business. You can get one for your own use or family use or whatever.
Awesome, thank you.
So here's a brief example that I threw together. If you were to construct a 26-foot wide by 48-foot tunnel, that totals 1,248 square feet. If you input our current payment rate, which is $342, you're talking about a total overall NRCS payment of $4,268. If you compare that to the cost of a kit, which of course the costs vary, but here's one example. It is a real world cost, so it should be in line for a basic kit. But when I say a kit, I'm talking the frame, the trusses, the cross ties, the roll up sides, and the 6mm poly, the plastic covering. Those basic kits run about $4,500. But you also have end walls to build. So if you build just your standard plastic end walls, you're talking, a minimum of $400. It could be more depending on the supplier. And then if you go with wood and hardware, your costs are going to be greater, roughly $800 or more. You want to get quotes and talk to suppliers, but that is some real data that I collected this year, so it's relatively current. So if that were the case and you went with plastic, your minimum out-of-pocket expenses are $632. But that is if you installed the tunnel yourself. and you went with just the basic bare bones kit. So, you know, potential added costs are labor, you know, like Jesse Wright talked about on the first evening, if you were able to join us for the first evening. If you hire someone, labor adds up quickly. You're going to want some doors. Most people are going to put in some kind of ventilation, either manual or electric or, you know, otherwise, but all those costs need to be taken into account up front so there's no surprises. If you want a second layer of poly or an inflation kit to really extend your growing season, if you want to put in gearboxes to make your manual roll-up sides work a little bit easier, upfront site work, all of those things are added costs. So I guess my message this evening is, you know, we do provide a significant amount of assistance, but it's not completely free. So you want to do your homework, think about the economics of your situation, and where you'd like to be in terms of your operation, and make an informed decision, so you don't get yourself into something that is a little over your head or beyond what you had expected. So I'm going to shift gears a little bit here. I know a lot of you we don't work with, or perhaps you're new to farming. So I just want to take a couple of minutes and just give you a broader view of the things we do here at NRCS. We help a wide variety of customers on both forest and ag settings. Staff provide assistance on managing your woodlot, perform long-term forest health, wildlife habitat, etc. However, in order to do that, in order to work on a woodlot, we must have a forest management plan or a wildlife management plan in place. So you either need to have one first, or we would work with you to have one developed by a local forester or wildlife biologist. We also work with larger livestock operations to do things like keep clean water clean in the barnyard, alleviate compaction in your fields, perhaps develop a rotational grazing system for your livestock, and many, many other things. And rolled into that, we have an easement program too, run by the state office in Dover. And we have opportunities to protect and enhance wetlands and working ag land. So just keep that in the back of your mind if it's an opportunity that you or perhaps any of your neighbors would like to explore.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelly. We do have another question, excuse me, that just came in. It says, does this high tunnel require the new CCC 902 form?
That is a great question. The CCC 902 form is a farm operating plan, and it is a new requirement that just went out in publications recently. So yes, if you're applying for assistance, you do need to complete the 902 form. The Farm Service Agency, which is a sister agency to us, they actually administer and process that form. So it is a joint effort of working closely with the Farm Service Agency. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, they actually have a follow-up question. They said, what if you've already applied? Is the form still required?
It is required. We received a national bulletin, and basically the bulletin states that from this point forward, for any funding in fiscal year 2021, it is required. So it is something that we've had to backtrack a little bit with folks that have already applied to get them eligible again in time for our funding deadlines.
Awesome. Thank you. We have another question as well. can you speak to the permitting process? Is a permit needed for a larger high tunnel, say a 30 by 75?
Typically, I'm not aware of any permits that are needed as long as you're not, in a wetland. And if you are in a wetland, it might not be a good place for your tunnel. However, I will say that towns vary. So some towns look at them as a more permanent structure, and they can be taxable. So you want to work with your town on that aspect. But I'm not aware of any permitting. Nick or anybody else, are you aware of permitting for tunnels?
Kelly, this is Nick. No, I'm not aware of any permitting for tunnels.
Thanks.
Thank you, Nick. And we have another question for you, Kelly. Is there a minimum size for NRCS approved tunnels?
No, there is no minimum size. I would just throw out there that since our payment rates are square footage based, you're going to have certain costs no matter what the size, such as the actual, frame and, the doors and things like that. So I would say if you're going with really super small, like 14 by 17, for example, your payment is going to be relatively small. So we might want to talk, one-on-one about that if it makes sense to seek assistance or not, but there's no minimum.
Awesome. And another question, can you receive grants for more than one tunnel?
You can receive assistance for more than one tunnel, yes. I believe our current policy is that you can get up to 2,178 square feet in one contract, but that does not prohibit you from reapplying and getting assistance with another tunnel. I will say that we do pre-screen our applications. So if for some reason you weren't maintaining your first tunnel, we could give you a low priority on another tunnel. So it's a little bit of quality assurance that we have built in, but we have producers who have received help with multiple tunnels for sure.
Awesome, thank you. And I think that's all. Oh, yep, they said thank you. So that's everything for now. You guys have really great questions, and go ahead, Kelly, and continue. You're doing a great job. Thank you.
So I just wanted to give you a real quick snapshot of some of the other projects we do. These are specifically, here in Coös County, but they are pretty much true to the entire state at least. So the first one up in the top is actually a reverse osmosis unit for maple sugar operations. It basically extracts the excess water before the sap is boiled. So it cuts down on a lot of energy usage and time invested in boiling. So that is one practice that we have available. You typically would be upgrading your existing operation so that you can show that you're saving energy by installing one. But I encourage you to work with your local NRCS reps, because our programs do change year to year, but currently that's what we have available. The photo in the bottom left is actually a simple trench drain. In this case, the farmer was having a lot of excess ponding of their runoff from their roof. So basically we're catching all the water that's dripping off the roof, and we're outletting it to a suitable location to keep the barnyard drier and cleaner. The bottom right is an example of timber stand improvement. Basically, you go in with chainsaws or brush saws and thin out an overstocked stand. And of course, you wouldn't do this, just willy-nilly on your own, but if you have a forest management plan that prescribes thinning, would be beneficial either, to the long-term forest health or for wildlife habitat or other reasons. That is something that we work with local foresters and our local extension agents to help you accomplish on your land. And my last example of projects is something we've been doing a fair amount of up here in Coos, is repairing buffers and stream bank erosion control. In the top photo on the right, you can see the bank is very unstable. It's being undercut during high water events. And there's a lot of excess sediment going into the river. The farmer's concerned about losing their field, and there are negative impacts to water quality and aquatic habitat. So what we did in this case was we worked with a landowner to put a series of log jams. They're just wooden structures in the bank. They're actually driven into the bank and into the stream bed, and we're able to stabilize the bank and allow time for the new buffer to establish. So the photo on the bottom is only about a year after it was installed. So eventually you're going to see trees growing in that buffer again. So it allows for shade over the water and minimizing sedimentation. But I guess the importance of the shade is you're reducing the overall water temperature. And some of you may be aware that many of our native fish need cooler waters. So long-term, it's a win-win for the land and the critters that utilize the aquatic habitat. So I promised I would touch on who you can contact. If you're in Coös County, you can talk to myself or Ashley Newell. If you're in Grafton County, right now my counterpart, Tom Ebert, is the primary contact. If you're in Carroll County, we have Nels Lulgidal, Debbie Marnich, and Jesse Wright, who joined us in the first session. Or if you're in another county or in another state, it's pretty simple just to Google NRCS and search for your local service center.
Awesome. This is great. Thank you, Kelly. We do have another question. The question is, how can we get a copy of the slide presentation? I do know it is being recorded and it will be on our website. So if you need it for, if you want to go back and reference things, you can definitely do it there. Kelly, that's something up to you if you wanted to provide a copy of your presentation or if you're just comfortable with people reviewing it online when it's posted.
I would say, review it online or reach out to me at my email address here, kelly.eggleston@usda.gov, and I can certainly share it individually.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelly.
This is my last slide, but I wanted to include a couple of slightly different photos of high tunnels than you've seen in our previous presentations. In this case, they're both raised beds. They are actually quite narrow. They're only 17 feet wide. And the one on the left, it was an older grower, and they wanted to do that for weed management and for less strain on their back and their knees. So I just wanted to share that, there are other things you can do with your tunnel and get creative with layout if you're looking for ideas, if you're thinking of building your own. And lastly, if there is anybody on joining us tonight that has worked with me or other NRCS staff. If you have any feedback or tips for us or for the growers, we certainly welcome your feedback.
Thank you, Kelly. If anyone would like to add anything, please feel free. You're welcome to unmute yourself and speak. If you have worked with NRCS and worked with high tunnels in the program, please feel free to unmute yourself and speak. Or if you want to comment in the chat about your experience, you're more than welcome to do that as well.
This is Sue Green. I was able to work with Kelly last year to get my high tunnel. It was put up in the fall, 26 by 48. And the slide that Kelly showed with the step-by-step funding was exactly how it went, to the point where Kelly prepared all the documents, came over pre-COVID, and I just sat in the kitchen, we chatted, and I signed all the papers and she sent it away. And we had originally applied for EQIP grants, and that I didn't make that one, but she was quickly said, hey, we have these AMA grants available. Would you like to apply for that instead? And again, quick paperwork change, quick signature, and she sent them off and we were able to get the monies. So it was really great.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Sue, for sharing that. We appreciate it. Would anybody else like to share as well? Okay, well, we do have a couple questions coming in for you, Kelly. How many grants does NRCS award each year?
That's a good question, and I don't have a solid answer for you. It is a little bit of a moving target because it depends on our overall funds, and we don't really have a specific allocation just for high tunnels. Usually we do set aside a certain amount of money every year for them, but there's no like exact number. Just as a ballpark, I would say, you know, here in Coos, we probably awarded an average of half a dozen a year. And, you know, some counties more than that, but it really depends. A little bit of a crystal ball.
Thank you, Kelly. Another question, are there any requirements for what crops are grown in the tunnels, or are all the crops permitted as long as they are grown in the ground?
As long as they're grown in the ground. We have folks that grow flowers for cut flowers, you know, herbs, all sorts of dwarf fruit trees. So the sky is pretty much the limit.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelly. Any other questions before we switch gears? Or anyone like to share anything about their experience? Oh, we have another question that just came in for you, Kelly. Can tunnels be used temporarily for chickens if they are part of soil management?
I will say that we have had a couple of growers rotate chickens through when they are not growing in the tunnel. Extension staff might want to speak more to this, but I would just say be aware and cautious of the FSMA, the food security requirements regarding having livestock near your crops.
Thank you, Kelly. Does anyone else from Extension that's on want to speak on this as well?
Yeah, I'll just say my name's Heather Bryant. I'll just say Kelly's exactly right. There's no problem at all with rotating chickens through when there's no crops in the tunnel. But the current recommendation, both through FSMA and just basic best management practices, is for manure to be tilled in 3 to 4 months before you harvest your crop. So 3 months if it's something like tomatoes where the edible portion doesn't touch the ground, and 4 months if it's something like leafy greens where the edible portion does touch the ground. So you got to kind of factor that into your plan.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Heather, for adding to that. Any other questions before we switch gears? You guys have some really good questions. This is great. And Kelly, you're doing a great job answering all these questions. Thank you. All right, it looks like we will switch gears. Thank you so much, Kelly, for your presentation. I feel like a lot of people had great questions and it was definitely a big hit, so thank you. Awesome. So now what we will do, we will transition to the next part of the presentation. So this is actually going to be me talking about the Coös County Conservation District. We have a tool rental program. So I'm going to share, I created a video to show you guys. So I am going to see if I can share that with you. And we'll watch that and then we'll be open to questions as well. If for some reason something doesn't work, then please someone shout that, hey, I can't see the video, and I will stop sharing and fix it. All right. We will get
Whitney,
started.
do you want to hold questions till the end of the video?
If the video plays well, like I'm hoping it will, then sure. If people want to send them in the chat, that's fine. And then at the end, I'll just address them all if that works.
Great, thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Can you guys see, or Nick, can you see the recording?
Yep, I can. It's not playing yet though.
Okay, perfect. I haven't pressed the play button yet. All right, we'll give it a try. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the North Country High Tunnel series. This is Whitney Lewis, your host, and also I'm reporting today from the Coös County Conservation District, and I'm going to talk to you about the Conservation District's tool rental program. So I created a little presentation to show you, and I even have a video. We're gonna give this a try so you guys can get to know a little bit more about what we offer. All right, let's bring this up here. Okay, oops. There we go. Alrighty, so hopefully everybody can see this okay. There we go. Okay. All right, so I will cover our tool rental program. Also on the screen is a link to our tool rental page on our website, so please feel free to check it out. We have all kinds of good stuff on there. I'm going to try and cover as much as I can tonight, but there is a lot to our tool rental program, so please feel free to check it out. All right, so we have garden tool rentals and tunnel tool rentals. So it does not cost anything to use these garden tools and tunnel tools. However, a $10 donation to the district is very appreciated. That helps us maintain the tools and also promote local conservation programs. So you can see here, there's a wonderful picture. We have a 4-row cedar, and we also have it in a single row and a 6-row as well. So it makes things a little bit easier. So some items needed to rent the tools. First thing is a tool lending agreement. So this just states what tool you're taking out, how long you tend to have it, and where you plan on using it, basic things like that. And second thing we need is a check for a holding deposit for the replacement value of the item. And once this item is returned, then we'll give you your check back as well. So for an example, say the 4-row cedar costs $50, which I'm sure it's a little more expensive than that, then you'd write us out a check for $50 and you would rent it. And then when you bring it back, as long as it's in good working condition, I would give you your $50 back. So time frame on use of the tools, it varies anywhere between 4 and 7 days. However, we're pretty flexible, so whatever you need, just let us know and we can definitely work with you. All right, let's see. So I want to highlight, since we are talking about tonight mostly high tunnels, we do have a low and high tunnel featured tools. So you can see right there on the top left is our featured ground post driver. So whenever you are pounding in your ground posts for your high tunnel or low tunnels, you don't want to just hit it with a sledgehammer. Like Kelly mentioned previously, we have this ground post driver. Please put that in, and then you can start using the hammer or whatever you need to get them into the ground. That way they're not damaged. And then because if they were damaged from not using the ground post driver, then it'd be very hard to finish your high tunnel. The other thing is we have a hitch mount bender. So that just is very helpful for when you're having to bend your hoops. And you can see here also we have a 4-foot wide and 6-foot wide hoop benders. And you can see on the top right-hand side, here, I'll move this out of the way, part of a low tunnel. So these are really helpful for low tunnels, which I believe we'll talk more about that in later sessions. So for smaller tunnels, if you wanted to do an actual big high tunnel, then you'd need another tool, a much bigger tool. To give you an idea, I put a little video here, and we'll see if I can play it for you guys.
Hi, I'm Dave Epstein. This is Growing Wisdom. Today we are at Johnny Selected Seeds, Albion, Maine, and we're walking in front of a low tunnel with Anthony Stevenson. And Anthony's going to tell us about how you make one of these. But first, Anthony, why make one?
The benefits of the low tunnel is that it gives you insect and frost protection, as well as allows you to overwinter your crops.
And Anthony, I noticed we have this agribon on top. Is it the same agribon for all those uses?
We have different weight agribons for different applications. We have lighter ones for the warmer months and heavier ones for the colder months, depending on your zone and climate.
Where do you get the supports for the agribon?
You actually can't get the supports, but you can make them with our tool. Well, let me show you. Johnny's is constantly expanding our product line. One of our newest innovations is the Quick Hoops Bender to help you have a more successful growing season.
Cool. So this is actually going to make those hoops that you were showing me before, right?
We'll make these hoops.
All right. So you said you needed some help.
That's right.
All right. So I'm yours. What do I do?
Okay, first what we're going to do is you're going to take one of these 10-foot lengths. This one happens to be half-inch galvanized conduit, electrical conduit, or EMT.
So this is the stuff that you buy just anywhere that electricians would put the wires through, right?
That's correct. Okay, Dave, to start, you slide the pipe right in here.
Even with the end.
That's right. You just bend it down towards yourself until you're about 4 to 6 inches away. And then this is where I need you.
Okay.
Slide it through. Bend it again. For you to stabilize, you're going to get the best hoop.
So ideally 2 people.
Ideally 2 people. It can be done with 1. Then to finish it off, you take this accessory that comes with this, stick it on over the end, and then this time for the end you pull all the way.
Oh, so that's so you don't get your fingers stuck in there.
That's right.
So you guys, and this comes with this tool?
It comes in one set.
Oh, awesome. That's great.
Then if you'll pull it on through.
Wow.
And here's the finished product.
So we took one of these straight guys, which are 10 feet,
Mm-hmm.
put it to this in just a matter of a minute.
Right.
Anthony, do I need the trailer hitch, or could I just mount the Quick Hoops bender on something else around my house?
Yep. With 2 bolts, you can mount it to anything, a picnic table, workbench, whatever works for you. Hey, Dave, let's go build a low tunnel.
All right. Put these in.
Yep. Push it right down.
Thanks, Anthony. The Quick Hoops Bender, another innovative tool from Johnny Selected Seeds. Come back every week for all of our tips, hints, and helps here at Growing Wisdom.
Alrighty, so hopefully you guys are all able to see that and listen to that. I figured there could be some questions about low tunnels, and since our tools, at least the benders, are used for low tunnels, I figured a video would be helpful for visual learners because I'm a very visual learner. Let's see, and let's move on to the next slide. Oops, hold on one sec. There we go. All right, so a couple other garden tools that we have featured on the top left, we have a bed prep rake, below we have a long-handled wire weeder. To the right, we have the bully hoe, and the bottom a row maker. So you can see right here with the bully hoe, the blade is designed to cultivate deeply and to remove weeds at a root level. So again, these are all free to use. However, a $10 donation would be greatly appreciated. A couple other things here. We have featured on the left a soil block maker. We have them in 6, 12, and 20. So this is super helpful for creating those starters. And also we have transplanters. This shows a Hatfield model. We have at 1.5, 2.0, and 2.5. We even have a soil tester and a wheel hoe, which is great for cultivating and getting those weeds out in between the rows. And a couple other tools that we have are featured on the left is the 4 and 7 tine 22 foot bully broad fork. So that's super helpful, especially in your tunnels. And also here are a couple links to a full list of our tools on our website, and also a link to the tool lending agreement, which I mentioned earlier, which is very simple. And like you saw earlier, a video of how to use these tools. Go to Johnny Seeds, where most of those are purchased from. We were able to get through a grant. So that's very helpful if you have questions with tools and how to use them. Another thing I also wanted to talk about is we have a 4-ton wet lime or wood ash spreader. So obviously this is not something you can use in your high tunnel or low tunnel, but I did want to mention it because it's something we offer, and who knows, maybe someone out there would be interested. So this is used to spread wood ash or lime, which helps to modify soil pH. And soils that are less acidic or soils with a pH closer to neutral, they're better environments for legumes, which fix nitrogen from the atmosphere. Also, raising pH with wood ash is an efficient way to facilitate legume growth and nitrogen production in the soil without using those synthetic fertilizers. So this just talks about simple specifications. It is a pull type. You can pick it up. We keep it in Stewartstown. You can pick it up with your SUV or your truck. And the tractor size needed to pull this with would be a 50 horsepower. And rental rates, so you can see right there, September 1st to May 14th, the cost is $100 a day or $500 a week, which consists of 7 days. If it ends up raining on one of the days or you're not able to spread, let us know and we will honor that. May 15th to August 31st, the cost is cheaper, $50 a day or $250 for a week. And one thing with renting this, it is a bigger piece of equipment. So we do require more of a maintenance deposit. So $250, basically this means when you rent this from us, you will give us a $250 check. And when you return it, I'll check out the machine or the spreader and make sure everything's in good working condition, just like the way you received it earlier. And if everything's good in good condition, then I'll give you this $250 check back. So a few things, it's similar, but a little bit different if you were to rent this from us. We do have a rental agreement, and it is a little more, has a couple more questions than just the regular garden tool rental agreement. So it talks about acreage you plan on spreading, what you plan on spreading with, your address where you plan on spreading. It talks about our insurance policy. And also number 2, you can see that you would need a certificate of insurance and you'd need to list the Coös County Conservation District on there as additionally insured. And what you would do, your insurance company would have to send us a copy stating that we are on your insurance and the spreader is covered if anything were to happen. And also with your insurance policy, you need a minimum general liability of $300,000 per occurrence is required. So also on this, you need property, like I said, and liability insurance. And some of you might have a question out there, hey, is homeowners insurance okay? Can we just use that because that's all we have? And unfortunately, with our insurance company, we cannot accept homeowners insurance. So if you were to try to put this on your homeowners insurance, we still would not be able to rent to you. So sorry about that. you need a special type of farm insurance with this minimum general liability on there. That way we could rent it to you. However, if you have questions, please feel free to let me know. I know it can be a little bit confusing learning about it at first. Also, and of course, lastly, we would need the payment. So however long you plan on using it for, a day, a week, we would need that payment as well. And for more information, you can check out our website under tool rentals. It talks about wood ash and some highlights and where to get it. So if you have questions, please check that out. And I already kind of basically covered the rental agreement. If it's something you want to see and you're really serious about, please send me an email and we can dive a little bit deeper. And lastly, I want to talk about all the conservation districts in New Hampshire. So of course, you know, I live in Coos. I'm the Coös County Conservation District Manager. I cover all of Coos County, down from below Berlin all the way up to Pittsburgh, from Lancaster. That's my area. And as you can see on the map, Coos is broken up into 10 counties, and each county has a conservation district. So if you would like information on who, say you live in Merrimack County or Rockingham County and you want to reach out to the district manager in that county, there's a link right here to the NHACD website, and that will go over a list of the contact information for people, our district managers from each of the county. Also below, since we've been partnering with Grafton and Carroll County with this High Tunnel Initiative, workshop series, I included Pam Gilbert. She is a district manager for Grafton County in her email, and also Carroll County, Matt and his contact information as well. Awesome. And lastly, so this is my contact information. Whitney Lewis, our office right now is, well, our office is based out of Lancaster, New Hampshire. Currently right now it's based out of my home because of COVID, but that's okay. Our phone number, please feel free to email me though. Email is the best way since I am working from home. We also have our website and our Facebook page. We do offer a monthly newsletter. So if you're interested in receiving monthly updates about other workshops that we're offering, or plant sales, like right now we have our spring plant sale going on, please feel free to go on our website and sign up for our newsletter. Or you could send me an email and say, hey, I'd like to be added to the newsletter, or I'd like to learn more about your low and high tunnel tools. I'd like to learn more about your spreader. Please feel free to email me and reach out. Also, other district managers are really happy if you reach out to them too. They have similar programs for tool rentals as well. So we're all here to work together, and we're happy to help you if you have any questions. And yeah, I guess this is a good time for questions. So please feel free to ask any questions or just drop a question in the chat and I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you. All right, so let's see. All right, so we're back. Okay, hopefully everyone was able to view that okay. I did that because I have a 5-year-old that's running around tonight along with a dog and cat. So I figured it'd just be easier to actually be able to record a presentation when it was a little bit quieter in the house and be able to give you guys my full attention. So what do we have for questions? I'm looking in the chat. Let's see. There's one. Is the reciprocity between counties for the rental of equipment? So are you asking basically, so does Coös work with another county on equipment rentals? I think that's what you're asking. So I know for an example, on our spreader and probably even the tools, we work with Essex County, Vermont. So we do work with them. As far as Grafton County, Pam, I know you're on, you guys have a different type of program, I believe. Is that something you want to share about? I believe if someone wanted to use the spreader, then we probably could make it work. The hard part is just depending on where you're at in Grafton County. It could take you a couple hours to come get it. So I'm not sure if that would be easy for you or not. Also at this time, if you need to go, I want to be respectful of your time. It is 7 o'clock. So thank you for joining us. But please, if you have more questions and you want to be a part of this discussion, then please feel free to hang on. And Pam, do you mind speaking a little bit about what you guys have?
No, and That's great. Thank you, Whitney. In Grafton County, we have an airway aerator and we have a eco no-till seed drill. And both of those are smaller pieces of equipment that we rent. They are 6 feet wide, so they can be towed behind, and we have a trailer for the eco drill to be towed. They work really well for irregular shaped or smaller pastures if you want to reseed or something. So that information is on our website, graftonccd.org, or Whitney gave the information. You can email me or call the Orford NRCS office, and I can get the call from there. All counties have different equipment. So if you go to the NHACD website and just ask, look around and ask the district managers, you can find out what different pieces of equipment are available, and they do rent throughout the state, most of us. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Pam. Sorry to put you on the spot. Yeah, awesome. And that person said, thank you, Pam. So that's good. I guess you answered their question as well. Is there any other questions about Coös's tool rental program or any other questions in general? Let's see. Okay, where and when is the plant sale? So can I ask what county you're in? Because it varies by county for the person that asked that question. So just to give you some background for a little information. So Coös has our own plant sale right now, and that is on our website. So cooscountyconservation.org. But Pam also in Grafton County, she's having her own plant sale as well. So depending on what county you're in, I'd suggest, Carroll County, I'd suggest reaching out to the district manager there. Matt is your district manager from Carroll County. Matt, I am not sure if you are doing a plant sale or what you're doing. If you're still on, do you mind sharing if you are doing something or not, please?
Yep, we currently don't have a plant sale, but that being said, I'm happy to coordinate with a county that is and get an order down to Carroll County.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. That's a really good question.
Yep. Belknap County, Grafton County, Sullivan and Cheshire, Hillsborough, Rockingham, and Stratford, I think all have plant sales, and we don't limit people. We have a lot of customers from other counties in Vermont, so most of us are happy with any order.
Absolutely. So
our information is on our website, graftonccd.org, under sales programs, or call or email.
Awesome. Yeah, if you want to know more, then please feel free to email me or email Pam. We do offer similar things, but Grafton County offers more. So it's a little bit different. So please feel free, if you wanted to look at both of our information, then please feel free to do that as well. Awesome. That's a good question. And thank you, Matt, for explaining what you guys do, because I wasn't entirely sure. Any other questions related to anything for me, for Pam, for Matt, or Kelly? Maybe not. Please feel free to drop them in the chat. Okay. Let's see. Awesome. So Pam, thank you so much for doing that. I'll just include my email as well. And I think if no one else has any questions, then I guess we'll probably wrap it up for the night. Thank you so much, Kelly, for speaking about NRCS programs. That was super, super helpful. I really appreciate it. You did a great job on your presentation. And thank you both, Matt and Pam, for being here as well. I really appreciate having your insight on your counties, because I'm not fully aware of everything that you guys do, since every county kind of varies. So it's great to have you guys here, and thank you for speaking up. I did not mean to put you on the spot. So thank you for stepping up. I appreciate it. Yeah, if there's no other questions, I guess we'll wrap it up. Thank you all for coming. We really appreciate it and having you tonight. And thank you. I hope you guys have a great night. Take care. Awesome. Thank you, Kelly.